The 2-1. Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone! Grand slam! And Lindor puts the Mets on top. The biggest swing of the season for New York.
3-second differential. Shot clock, game clock. Shot clock down to 5. Here's Towns from 3. It's gone! Carl Anthony Towns with the dagger. 3-point field goal.
Knicks regain their composure. Towns, deep 3-ball with the switch.
Long-time Philly now. This time Winker cranks it. It's a no-doubt shot. Upper deck, 2-0.
The Wink Man is back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, Jesse Winker, and welcome to another video from your boy David by Top Bunk Sports, man. And as you see on the title, we're going to be talking about Vladdy or Pete or Vladdy. But before we get into that, obviously, we got to talk about the more important news as of right now. Jesse Winker re-signs with the Mets on a 1-year, $8 million deal. He provided a lot of spark, energy, consistency. He will be a big bat coming into this year. Last year, like I said, he provided a lot. So having him back here and being able to be a momentum shifter in terms of veteran piece and trying to help everybody out, being a key guy that just, like I said, just brings a lot of energy, a lot of attitude into the team is very important. It's very important. I'm happy. I wanted him back. I think you need somebody like that in your clubhouse to win a chip. So I wanted him back, and I think he's going to be very, very big for us this year, especially with the expectations that we have and what they're trying to do this year. So shout out to Jesse Winker, man. Welcome back. But again, we gotta talk about the key topic today. And a lot came out today, actually, when in regards to Pete Alonso, right? It was reported that he wants a 3-year deal with opt-outs, and it was reported yesterday that the Mets were also interested in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? They're not that they were interested, but they were looking into him. And it drew a lot of antennas, right? Everybody was like, well, if that's the case, then bye Pete. You know what I'm saying? Like it was very interesting to see. But more news came out today, and it had Metsland, everybody in Metsland talking, dude. It really did. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. And I'll give my opinion on the whole Pete and Scott Boras thing and the Vladdy situation. But let's go to what was reported first by our one and only Andy Martino. According to Andy Martino, the Mets pivot to plan B, expecting Pete Alonso to sign elsewhere. Again, now you're in a situation where you're looking at it from a standpoint of, do they go the Vladdy route? What prospects do they give up? Are they going to do a sign and trade? Are they really going to add $400 million in their payroll? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what he's looking for. That's close to what he's looking for from what I've read and what I've saw, right? And then you're also thinking to yourself, well, if Pete Alonso doesn't come back, you have an option of using one of the kids. Now, one of the kids is basically Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos has played first base in the minor leagues. And if it comes to a situation where you can't come to an agreement with Pete and Pete ends up walking and you don't trade for Vladdy and you're like, we're just going to wait this 1 year out and wait till he becomes a free agent and we'll get him next year, Mark Vientos could be your first baseman, right? The thing with this comment right here, right, is just a part where it says the Mets are expecting Pete Alonso to sign elsewhere. A lot of people may look at that and be like, well, that's it. Bye, Pete. That doesn't necessarily mean he's gone, though. That could mean a couple things. One, that could mean that they're just trying to scare Alonso because they know that Alonso is not going to get the exact deal that he wants anywhere else, but they know that the Mets want him back, and the Mets are going to try to get to as close as what Alonso wants. I mean, it's came out already from Scott Boras when he spoke to John Heyman that he's going in and looking in for a 3-year deal with an opt out after the 2025 season. Kind of, I'm not shocked at that. Listen, the brother doesn't, to me, he doesn't understand what his market is right now, and that's the only route that you can go. There's literally the only route that you can go. So if right now if you're Scott Boras and you're speaking to Pete, you're like, listen, we don't have another option at this point. All the other first basemen that were in this market, they're gone. They already got what they wanted or what they were looking for or the team that they wanted to go to. We're fucked. Like, we're stuck here. The only team right now that is willing to give us something that we can take right now just so we could get you to spring training and get you back into your flow is the Mets. They're not going to give you a long-term deal, but listen, they're willing to stick with you. They're willing to stick with you. So, it's kind of it's who's gonna budge first. And I honestly, like, when it comes to Pete, man, I love Pete. Big fan of Pete's. Homegrown player, has provided a lot of moments for this organization that I will never ever forget. But yo, it's bigger than Pete Alonso. It's bigger than Pete Alonso. You saw what we've done without Pete Alonso here in terms of acquisitions in the offseason. It's bigger than Pete Alonso. If right now the Mets said, yo, we're gonna take our prospects, we're gonna trade them for Vladdy, I can't be mad, man. I don't, all the opinions of Vladdy doesn't do this and he's not a better first baseman. At the end of the day, listen, he's another power threat. He's another solid defender at first base. He's not gonna rack you 40 plus home runs, but he'll give you 25 to 30 plus. At least. Like, that's all that I can ask for from a power hitter. And he's playing the field. I can't complain. And this is a guy that's gonna mesh well with Juan Soto. And you signed Juan Soto. So now you got to go out there and get another big fish. But to me, it's more about what is that definite plan. And I think when it comes down to that, it's all about just, again, sticking to what they need to get. And again, on this more on this whole Pete Alonso thing, John Heyman put this article that you kind of see in front of me. It says the Mets and Pete Alonso continue to talk about a possible deal that could potentially keep him in Queens, at least in the short term. Although there was still thought to be a gap between the offers and counter offers, and thus plenty of work left to do as time runs short. While the sides are said to be making progress on at least the structure of a proposal of a proposed deal that's expected to be for 3 years and include at least one opt-out, there was no word by Wednesday that the sides have closed the substantial financial hurdle that's hung over these high-profile talks regarding the star free agent first baseman. And the Mets have let Alonso's camp know they need a decision as soon on whether the two sides can do a deal, as they want to make sure to leave themselves enough time. And, well, with this banner in my fucking face, enough time and options to pivot somewhere else to spring training, the Post has learned. So again, that's as much as we know. And obviously, him turning down an offer with a high AV, it's a 3-year deal. It's one of those things where he thinks that he can get exactly what he wants, and he's not understanding the market. He's not. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because at the end of the day, Pete Alonso should know that, listen, do your homework and do your research, brother. Your market is not that high. It's not. Everybody thought that it was, and it just so happens that it's not. And if you're P Alonso, you have to look at it from you got to look at it from this. You got to look at it from a situation where now you're either gonna go ahead and you're gonna be like, let me take this 3-year deal. Let me take this 3-year deal with this opt out. Let me see hope that I can produce better than what I did the last 2 seasons. And let me go out there and perform my ass off and try to help this team win a chip like I've promised the fans to do. And then if I can perform my ass off and I can opt out and get myself a bigger deal close to what I wanted in the beginning, I'm set. Or a team that can come around, maybe the Giants, maybe the Cubs, maybe the Angels, maybe the Mariners. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like certain teams that need a first baseman, they could offer him what he wants, but does he really want to go there? You know what I'm saying? Like, does he really want to take that chance and go there? So a lot of questions to be answered, but you just don't know. We just don't know. Again, all we know is that Alonso declined an offer that was given to him with a high AV for 3 years. And the Mets have basically let his camp know, like, yo, we need a decision ASAP. Because if we don't get the decision, we're going to pivot. And if the report that Andy Martino put out saying that they are pivoting to plan B, and if that plan B is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., then hey, there could be something there. Now, again, I wanted to keep this video as short as I could. But I wanted to talk about my opinions, and it's a very short opinion. It's nothing too long, but my opinion on how I look at things when we talk about Pete or Vladdy. Now, like I said, the question, Pete or Vladdy, I would go with Pete. I think Pete is a better power hitter. I think he's slightly better defender at first base. Yes, I understand the 2 years. Yes, you could talk about numbers, but I'd rather deal with the guy that I know than the guy that I don't. Now, here are the perspectives that they could be looking at it from an organizational standpoint and from a player and his agent standpoint. When it comes to Pete Alonso and Scott Boras, they're looking at it from a standpoint of probably, listen, yes, my last 2 seasons haven't been that great, but defensively, I still help you guys out a lot. I still hitting in a tremendous amount of home runs. Nobody else is doing that right now. I think I deserve what I asked for, right? You're Scott Boras. Obviously, his job is to go out there and get his player the highest contract or the best contract that he could possibly get him. So he's not gonna budge down. Like, he's gonna be like, listen, there's a team out there that's gonna want him. Let's see what we could go get. Let's see if we could go get what we want, right? If you're the Mets, you have options here. You're looking at it from a standpoint of Pete Alonso doesn't understand what his market is. We offered him two offers from this regime, and he got offered one offer in 2023 by Billy Epler. Declined it. 7-year, $158 million extension. Didn't want it. Right. Then if Toronto, right? Let's look at it now from the Vladdy standpoint. You're Toronto, you're like, the organization's not going anywhere, right? I have to pay this guy, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the money that he wants, right? If I want to keep him. Or I could let him walk, see what the Mets can give me within prospects, go trade him to New York, sign Pete Alonso, because I'm getting almost the same amount of stats, a little bit much better on a shorter term. Pete Alonso knows that he's not getting the long-term deal that he wants. So if you're Toronto, you're like, all right, listen, Either we go ahead and we say fuck it, we give him what he wants, or we try to get him on the same mentality that the Mets are right now with Pete Alonso, and try to get him on a short year deal, right? On a short term deal. And it's a win-win for me. It's a win-win because now I just paid for a first baseman. I still have a first baseman, but I have a first baseman who is slightly better, and that is on a short-term deal compared to what I would have had to pay for the first baseman that's here now. And don't get me wrong, the owner for the Blue Jays, he has money, but it depends. Does he want to still go out there and give Vladimir Guerrero Jr. what he wants? Vladimir Guerrero, again, I've said it earlier, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., from what it was reported, he wants a $400 million deal. Is he going to get that? We don't know. But if you're Toronto, you're like, instead of me doing that, I could go get Pete Alonso on a short-term deal. And if it works out where he goes crazy for us, we'll extend him if he wants to be here. You know what I'm saying? So many options that can go. Now, my thing is when it comes to the Vladdy thing, right? Like I said, I would take Pete Alonso, homegrown player, know the guy, know what he does here. He's already dealt with the pressures in New York, and Juan fucking Soto's here. And you still get to play with Lindor. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many reasons why Alonso should be a Met right now. I would welcome Pete back. I would welcome Vladdy here too. But here's my situation with the Vlad thing. If you're trying to get him now, not next year, you trade for Vlad now. Who's to say that after this year he doesn't walk and go somewhere else? That's my issue. They're gonna want a good amount of prospects now. Buy Jet Williams, right? Kevin Parada, any of those guys that are not really performing to their best, you want them, take them. I mean, hell, even Mauricio, if they have to, cool. But I'm gonna have to give up a Brandon Sprout. I'm gonna have to maybe give up a Carson Binge. I'm gonna have to give up a Luis Angel Acuna, who the Mets had already said no to when it came to Boston and Garrett Crochet. Like, if I give up those prospects who I'm holding near and dear, and again, I'm not a prospect hugger, but again, sometimes when you find a prospect in a diamond in the rough, is it worth giving them up? You know what I'm saying? So if I'm giving up those prospects for Vladdy, and then Vladdy doesn't come and sign with us after the year is over, depending on what the Mets do, we're technically fucked because now we got to go back to playing Vientos at first base. That's why I wouldn't want to do the Vladdy thing right now. If they go into next year, again, and I'm not saying that where it's like if they actually do it, even though I don't want them to do it now, and I'm gonna be mad. No, listen, Vladdy's here. Another fucking powerhouse to win us the championship now. I'm just saying, like, I would much rather them just be like, yo, you know what? I think we're good enough already. Just right here. Let's see what we could do right here within this team. Let's move Vientos to first base. If they can't get a Bregman, deal with one of the kids because these kids are gonna play eventually. Do what you got to do with these kids. Leave the Vladdy mission to next year and go pay the guy. You know what I'm saying? It's a risk on both parts, but I would think that they would probably be like, we don't want to, because if we fucking trade for him and he doesn't sign back after this year, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, it's gonna hurt. So unless he brings us a chip and then he goes, then it's kind of like, okay. I mean, you kind of did what you needed to do here, so it could work. But that again, that it's just a matter of what will happen if they do trade for Vladdy. Is it gonna pan? Is it gonna pan out? And does he sign back here? And we gotta wait and see what what happens. But everything revolves around Pete and what he decides to do, because based on what the articles that came out from Will Salmon, Heyman, Bob Nightingale, like everything that I've read and that everybody else on Mets Twitter have read, you don't know if Pete Alonso's coming back. And then when we get that tweet that he signed somewhere else, it's like, all right, where the Mets going to pivot now. What's going to happen? And that's definitely going to start raising some antennas, and everybody's going to want to hear from what David Stearns has to say, what Cohen has to say, and what maybe Scott Boras has to say, maybe what Pete, wherever he signs and he does a press conference, what he's going to have to say. So there's a lot of questions, man. There is a lot of questions, but listen, I'm gonna end it here. Again, just a short video, just kind of giving my opinion on everything that's just coming back, just coming around the last 2 days. Welcome back, Jesse Winker. Happy to have you, man. And stay tuned, man, because there's a lot of stuff that should be coming out, man, in the next couple of weeks or months. So within this whole situation between Pete, man. So stay tuned with that. More videos on the way. Please follow, like, share, and subscribe. Top Bunk Sports on YouTube and all your other social media platforms, man. Support the channel, support the vibes, man. I love y'all, appreciate y'all, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.